Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Crime Centric. This being a show where I talk about crime dramas I like. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about the latest episode of Limitless. This episode was very nice because it took Rebecca's perspective. We always get Brian's perspective, and so it was like a very Rebecca perspective episode. We actually kind of got a little bit of a look at Rebecca's past. That basically, you saw a little bit of a relationship between her and her dad when she was like a little girl. She wanted to be a painter. She had no ambitions of being a cop, but it wasn't until her dad, started, getting high and ended up getting arrested for the first time. She really saw, policeman for the first time, saw the badge and the power that came with it, and that kind of led to her becoming a cop. But essentially, it had the beginning of the episode where we have Brian, being questioned by Rebecca. She takes NZT to kind of get, all of the truth out of him, and he basically tells her everything. And so basically, Rebecca, with the way NZT in her system, finding out, about Sands being the guy that's behind her dad's death. Brian brought that up to her because he wanted her to listen to him. Initially, she's thinking he's lying, but after taking NZT, she knows that he wasn't. Because I love how she was what Brian does to other people, she does to him. And I do like it just because he's like, well, that's not fair. That's not fair at all. It's very interesting to see Rebecca on NCT because we've always gotten Brian's perspective on NCT too. And that's because he's coming from just a normal dude's perspective. But this is a cop, a very well-trained, smart cop, top of her class on NCT too. So it's almost like night and day when you see how NCT affects them. I do like the fact is of we get to see it a little. We only see it once in the episode, but we see the multiple Rebecca thing. Because she even brings it up to Brian because she's been seeing her dad a lot. She's like, "What's up with? Do you ever see other people when you take NZT?" And he's like, "Yeah." He always thinks of it as kind of like his subconscious brain trying, like it's his brain trying to compensate to kind of compartmentalize and show him something that help him pick up on something that he may unconsciously not realize. I don't know. I think it kind of helps put everything in a clearer picture form or something like that. Even he admitted, even he doesn't really understand it. It happens to him, but he doesn't understand what it means or why that happens. But and basically, it's there to help you realize something that you may not have realized. Obviously, we've seen different forms of it because he talks about all the different Bryans he's seen, and on an occasion he even saw Rebecca. So. But in this episode, it's basically her trying to hunt down any way she can connect, Sands to her dad's murder. And it's very interesting seeing them kind of team up. Because, obviously we have, Brian and Piper working together. But it's on a case basis, seeing them work together. This is the first time, working with someone on NZT like that. Because, Piper and Brian were kind of dealing with the whole Morris situation. This is them, trying to, solve a case together. They end up tracking down one of the guys who has it. Basically that book that Brian got from Houston, one of the guys from Sands Past, a guy that basically set Sands on the path that he's on now. Which, interestingly enough, speaking of Sands, kind of gets told by one of the people that works with him. It's a lady friend of his. It sounds like, they're a bit of a couple because he's not used to this whole leading the charge thing. He's so used to always taking orders from other people. Stepping in the line, stepping into the leading role is a little different for him. And basically, he's told that basically he has to tie up loose ends, and those loose ends include Brian as well as Rebecca. So he's basically being told that he needs to kill them or he'll look weak in front of the others. And interestingly enough, Sands doesn't want to kill Brian. You end up finding out, partially it's obviously because of, Brian helped rescue his son, but it's also because he kind of got attached to Brian. They had their weird relationship, their little bit of a love-hate relationship, so. But, because he even gave Brian a heads up when the assassin was, when that sniper was going to take them both out. And you actually see it, Brian's never done that before. Has Brian ever gotten seriously hurt to the point he ever needed to? Essentially, Rebecca's dad inside of her head was telling her about, she can basically disconnect the part of her brain that feels pain. So that was kind of interesting because that's never come up before. But that's what I'm trying to think. Like, has Brian ever gotten like hurt to the point he needed to do something like that? But essentially, Rebecca went to. I'm getting back. Rebecca went back to Houston. Obviously, um, his book specifically. Half of it was translate. You were able to translate it because you know half of it was written by Houston and the other half was written by someone else. What was his name? Hulk. So basically, they try to track him down. Turns out he's dead. So all ties to Sands and Rebecca's dad going with him, and Houston being in the situation he's in. But it turns out he's not just in a vegetative state. He's just kind of in a. I forgot what the term was. It's basically someone who's cognitively they're aware of the outside. They're just kind of stuck inside their own body. And basically, Rebecca and Brian make a little doohickey to kind of communicate with him. And I do love it. They turn it on and nothing happened. Rebecca's like, "Is it plugged in?" And Brian goes like, "No, that only happened because we moved it." Okay, he's like, kind of don't be a smart ass type of thing, and plugs it in. And they're able to communicate with it. And because of this, they're able to take down Sands. And Rebecca asks him why did he kill his dad, but obviously, Sam's not trying to give anything away. Talks in metaphors. He's kind of like, not metaphors, hypotheticals. He's like, if that was the case, like your dad died because he was just a junkie. That basically, essentially, eventually it would have gotten to the point that her dad would have gotten too big for his britches. Because I think he was even alluding to the fact is that he was going to start selling NZT. He wasn't just getting it. He was actually going to start dealing it. So that type of thing. But Rebecca's basically telling him to go to hell. And then, everything, worked out. Brian's, going to talk to Naz and tell her everything. But then she was coming down on the NZT, like, it clicked in Rebecca's head. She's actually tearing up a little bit because she's like, now that Sands is done with, because they don't know where Piper is, there's no more immunity shots for him, meaning he can't take NZT anymore because if he does, it'll kill him. And that means he can't work with the FBI anymore. She's a little sad about it. But Brian's like, you know what? It's okay because in the end, it was worth it because we were able to take, you were able to get justice for your dad as well as all the other people Sands has killed. And he's like, I'll talk to Naz and, maybe I could still do some FBI work. She's like, without the NZT, you're not going to be able to do any, work. I mean, especially after the whole situation comes out about, once the truth comes out. And, Brian's still like, it's okay. Maybe I get to work here as a janitor or something. Because Naz had figured something was a little amiss because of the way Rebecca was acting earlier in the episode. She even asked Boyles about it. Like, is there a possibility that Rebecca was on NZT the way she was acting and the way that her and Brian were getting through their work so fast? It's something I never really thought about too much about her taking NZT. Like, for one, they were worried about her taking NZT because it might, what if Casey... the whole Casey situation happened. What if that happened to her? But it's like, it amplifies what's already there. As long as you're, sadly, whatever Casey's situation was, that was already inside of Casey at the time. He was still an honorable dude at the very end. So it's not like he was a complete disaster. But it's like, it does make you wonder if Rebecca did constantly take NZT, would she get to the point she became like Casey or Maura? Because Maura even kind of doesn't look at things. And because it seems like Brian's one of the few people who takes NZT and it's like, yes, he becomes smarter and everything, but he still retains a lot of his own personality. He doesn't let the NZT consume him. He still retains who he is. It doesn't seem like Maura did that. It seems like Maura just kind of looks at things. It's like the whole world is a gigantic calculation waiting to be solved. He's just always looking ahead, not looking at what's right in front of him. Kind of doesn't see people. He just sees right through them to what he can use people to do and stuff like that. So it's very interesting. And he's basically saying because of her dad's addictive personality, it's like that could, addiction can be hereditary. So is worried on that front, which I never thought about it. It's like, taking NZT isn't a good thing for her. But like I said, I did like this episode because, seeing them work together like this, it's nice that all this cards out there, everything's out there. I thought that was kind of nice. I even like the way she handles things, like, because in her mind, when she describes things, she does it in the form of an Exa sketch. I really thought that was kind of neat and kind of cute. But yeah, Brian, we don't get to see it, but Brian off screen kind of tells Naz everything. We see like his little metal plate saying his desk gets thrown away in the trash, and then we see the janitor kind of pick it up and look at it, smile, and keeps it. So it's like, oh, he's like remembering his good bud Brian. So, but there isn't going to be a new episode next week. There is going to be one after that though. So, and I looked it up, and it is a two-parter. It is the season finale. So I cannot wait to see, what's going to happen next episode. The FBI now knows about Mora, so it's like, what's Brian going to do? Like, does this mean now that he's told them, told Rebecca the truth, told the FBI the truth, means he's going to tell his family the truth, which his dad knows some of the truth. I forgot. No, his dad doesn't know anything about the Mora stuff, only the FBI stuff and the NZT stuff, not the other half of it that deals with Mora. So, be kind of interesting to see where everything goes next episode. But that's really all I want to talk about. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.